Aftershaves. Unlike today, where the perfume market is stuck in this unbreakable loop of both bland brand identity and equally indiscernible scents, back in the 1970s, these seemingly normal, everyday products that sat in your olive green bathroom cabinet alongside the orange shag carpet toilet seat cover had personalities of their own. Their iconic TV adverts were often to thank for their success, and just mentioning some of the names of the decade's most iconic scents can instantly flash a picture into the minds of those who remember them. Because when a woman puts denim on her man. Because I'm still living in that turbulent era every day, I only thought it right to show off what I'm slathering on every morning and dive into the strongly scented world of 70s aftershaves. Splash it on when the manly musk caught in your cortina gets a bit too overwhelming. It's one of the most standout fragrances of the 70s, BRUT. Now, I've only just started wearing this stuff as Jokes' dad actually got me some of the shower gel for Christmas. Shout out to Phil. Since then, I've been bathing in the stuff and then splashing on the original just to boost, which isn't too dissimilar to what teenagers at the time did either. BRUT was your go-to solution if you were running out the door for work in the morning with the bacon butty in your mouth, having woken up too late to have a shower. The iconic green tonic has been around since 1968, and it's still going pretty strong today. It's a pretty aromatic, spicy kind of scent that can only really be defined as the smell of a man.
For every man who wears BRUT, there's a woman who loves what he smells like. Because there's something about BRUT that's nice to be close to. And nobody knows that better than a woman. BRUT. It smells like a man.
The bottle I have here is, of course, an original, but certainly not as iconic as the absinthe green bottle design that many associate with the brand. Its dominating, standout appearance on a shelf would automatically draw the eye of anyone going to the loo while you bore everyone else downstairs with your family slideshows. You know who you are. Me. Number 2. Yardley Gold. So, admittedly, there's nothing too special about Yardley Gold. Even on its release in 1976, the fragrance really didn't make that much of a splash. Yeah, I'll stop that. No, let's not do that. The fragrance really didn't make that much of a splash in the ever-growing world of aftershaves. However, somehow it's stuck around. This one is as much of a mystery to me as it probably is to you, but I kind of just had to include it because of how incredibly straightforward the advert is.
Now, from Yardley, an aftershave for men who go for gold. It's very cool, very fresh, with a masculine fragrance that's very British and typically Yardley. If you want an aftershave that's a winner, think Yardley and go for gold. Now in 2 great fragrances.
Sports! Look at all the sports! All of the sports. Men like sports. And men wear aftershaves. Oh my god. It's very cool, very fresh smelling, and of course is very British. I mean, sold! That's all you need right there, as long as it's fucking British. So yeah, even though it had pretty uninteresting ads, the sheer genericism of this one is just too funny not to mention. You might have seen me putting this stuff on in season 1 of Charting Course actually, and yes, everything I'm showing in this video is original, and I do actually use it on a frequent basis. Yes, this liquid that I am exposing my skin to really is almost 50 years old. We're all about authenticity on this channel. Denim. Ooh. Now this is the real deal. One of the most iconic ad campaigns of the whole decade would have to be the simple but effective launch of denim in, again, 1976. All of these seem to be from 1976 for some reason. The image of a woman's hand slowly running down this guy's chest soon became engraved in young adults' minds and still sticks today. Not to mention that tagline, which almost takes the piss out of every other cliche perfume ad.
You might like to know about a new aftershave called Denim. It's It's not for men who want to drive women crazy, but it does encourage a feeling of freshness. If you've been looking for an aftershave as cool as the clothes you wear, get into new denim. The aftershave for men. You don't have to try too hard.
It's like saying, we're not above sexualizing this, but we have still got a brain. Denim has this kind of woody scent to it, perfect for the men of girth that they're targeting this stuff towards. And if you're a real posh twonk, you might be able to pick up on its more underlying hints of cedar and amber. Posh like me. However, this stuff, oh my god, this stuff was anything but subtle. From the marketing, to the box, to the leaflet that came with the stuff, just to remind you there's more!
There's more!
Denim is one of those fragrances that you certainly can't forget, whether you've tried it or not. Next up, mandate. Let's make a mandate out of it, shall we? Yes! Unlike denim, the next aftershave we're going to take a look at is almost the definition of subtlety, with its standout brown box and golden accents that make for a unique kind of marbled look. Next up is what's thought to be by some as an overlooked, almost forgotten gem of a fragrance. Worn by men, loved by women, it's Mandate. Now, Mandate is a weird one because, unlike many of the aftershaves on this list that are known for their kind of strong, almost pronounced smell, Denim, I'm looking at you, Mandate is not a screamer or a shouter. It's the suave, kind of tuxedoed man with a chiseled jaw standing on the sidelines of a room filled with grunting bodybuilders. I think that metaphor kind of lost its way, but you know. What I'm trying to say is it's quite subtle. You can smell it a bit here, actually. Hang on, let me get it open a sec. God, it's probably not been opened in 50 years. Oh god, hey! Ooh, that's aged well. From its stylized but not bold packaging to its almost kind of naturalistic scent, it's an aftershave that doesn't scream at you when you get near to it, unless you give it 50 years to ferment. I mean, this is an old one, the new ones are way less. God, the modern one, at least, not one that's been sealed for 50 years, is more like a naturally good smell that doesn't try to leave an impression on anyone. An atmosphere creator, if you will. The ads for it upon its release in 1976 were just as ambiguous. Blimey, good year for aftershaves, 1976.
Sensual, long-lasting Mandate. Worn by men, loved by women.
Of its time in some ways, yet timeless in others, Mandate is a fragrance that you need to try out if you want an underdog that pleasantly and suavely surprises. Finally, saving the best and possibly most divisive until last, it's High Karate. High Karate. Okay, now hear me out, everybody. I know it's quite strong, just hear me out. High Karate is, in my opinion, the most outstanding fragrance that I own. Everything from its hilarious TV ads to the self-defense instructions included with every box. Yeah, I'll get onto that in a bit. High Karate went the extra mile to slightly kind of almost theme their product and make it feel like you were holding something unimaginably powerful. The idea behind High Karate was that once you put it on, women would be uncontrollably drawn to you. So much so that you'd have to learn self-defense to get them away from you. And not that any man would ever be interested in that last part, but needless to say, it was pretty hilarious. High Karate's marketing completely turned the way people advertised aftershaves on its head, and basically just took the piss out of it. It was flippin' fantastic.
This is High Karate Aftershave. If a man uses too much, he's asking for trouble, and usually finds it. Because just one whiff drives women wild. Makes men irresistible. Fortunately, every pack of High Karate contains indispensable instruction on self-defense. High Karate Aftershave. Be careful how you use it.
Be careful how you flippin' use it. I love it. I love it! Not only this, but they included instructions for self-defense in every pack, going that one step further to just make this thing seem like a serious weapon. As someone who's a sucker for details, no matter how simplistic, I'm just impressed. I mean, you just don't get that today. The original was launched in 1967, and then a second in 1974 came along called Eastern Spice, in case you wanted to attract some more of those exotic birds, I guess. The original smell is perhaps the most distinctive and also divisive of all those that I've shown here, and many, many more. Many of those who bought this at the time weren't quite sure if they loved it or loathed it. Soon after buying it, guys probably realised that with its Johnson's baby powder sort of smell, that Valerie Leon wasn't going to be bursting out of a shopping centre and going after them. Even though we all thought about it on a frequent basis. To be honest, I really don't think any self-defense is necessary. Oh my god, just one whiff of this stuff could probably immobilize you on its own. It's a hyper-musky, citrusy sort of smell, I guess, almost as if you've walked into some kind of hippie's den and they've burned really smoky incense for 2 days straight. As for me, I'm actually quite a fan of the scent, no matter how much it may or may not have changed after the almost 50 years of fermenting in this bottle. I mean, just look at that colour. Look at that colour! Bit different to how it's supposed to be. Later, in 1974, the sequel cologne Eastern Spice was released. This one I somewhat actually prefer to the original. It's got a kind of warm, spicy tang to it. It stands out amongst all the others that I've shown here today. It's not too dissimilar actually to Avon's Thai Winds, if you've ever had that back in 1971. Sadly, neither Eastern Spice or Thai Winds are being made anymore, but thankfully that's not the case for the original High Karate. That's right, in 2021, High Karate was re-released and is still available to buy today. Attempting to capture the original fragrance as much as possible, this new version is a godsend for those of us who actually like the iconic scent. However, it's got a few shortcomings that are pretty significant. For 14 British pounds, which is pretty dear compared to the fact that you can pick up BRUT nowadays for almost under a fiver or just under a fiver, you're not quite getting the full High Karate experience. Of course, the smell is the most important thing, so this is just a bit of nitpicking, if anything, but for 14 quid, you would expect it to come with the self-defense booklet. It merely has a warning printed on the back of the bottle label and the back of the box. The bottle cap itself also has a really cheap and scratchy feel when you're undoing it. Unlike the original, which just feels so smooth and satisfying to undo, I mean, it just goes on its own, that's how easily it runs away. This feels like I could kind of snap the screw with very little effort. The threads could come apart in seconds. I'm glad this re-release is available, but I'm kind of disappointed that it neglects what made the original really stand out, including the elegant design of the cap itself. It just sounds cheap. It's just such a tiny thing, it's such a small thing, but for 14 quid, I mean, listen. It's flimsy, it's not very nice, whereas the other one, in comparison, is completely silent when you open it. Yeah, it feels really kind of ugh. Either way, that's just a brief look at some of my favourite 1970s aftershaves. I've got way more like Blue Stratos, Old Spice, of course, but these are my top 5 personal favourites that I wear day to day. If you remember getting any of these under the tree at Christmas or have any recommendations for me, leave them in the comments below, because I'd love to hear what memories these aftershaves bring back for you, if any. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put all of these on at once, so I'm irresistible to women.
Be careful how you use it.